Well, it's a new way to fly. Air travel has been altered since the start of the pandemic with new rules and protocols in effect. So if you're getting ready to hop on a flight but feeling nervous about staying safe while keeping personal space on the plane, here's what you need to know. Travel writer Christopher Elliott is sharing his in-flight insight with tips on keeping your distance on a plane. Welcome to the show, Christopher.
Hey, how you doing?
We're good. So, we've heard about airlines keeping the middle seats open to maintain space, but we've also seen and heard about full flights that still take off. Is it a good idea to avoid those full flights? Is it even possible to do that?
Well, it is and it isn't. Most of the full flights happen on just before the weekend and just after the weekend, so you can actually get on a less full flight on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And you can also take the first and last flight of the day. Those are usually the ones that business travelers take. And so a lot of leisure travelers try to avoid them, and they tend to be less full too.
So you've got to be a little strategic there on the day of the week or what time of day you're flying to avoid the bigger crowds. All right, so the other thing is there's just not a lot of space once you get on board. What can you do in terms of personal space? We know pre-pandemic, it was a tight squeeze getting on those planes.
That's absolutely true. People do not like being on planes now, especially with everyone crowding into their personal space and the possibility that they're going to get infected. But what you can do is you can fly on an airline that has more space. JetBlue and Southwest tend to have a little bit more space, at least the seat room and leg room. But you can also book a flight on an airline like Delta that is blocking the middle seats. Southwest is doing that too. So you'll get a little bit more space.
Good tips as well. Now this can be a very controversial subject, but we've seen and heard about some rude behaviors at airports and on planes, especially when people don't want to comply. So how do you deal with people that are seat spreading or other rude behaviors? And by seat spreading, I mean like not sticking to their seat or where they should be.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that in the news lately. It's really unfortunate. My advice is to be polite. Politeness is going to get you what you want 9 times out of 10. And that other 10th time, call a flight attendant. Don't be a hero. So if someone is not wearing a mask or spreading into your personal space, ask them very politely, could you please move back into your area, into your personal bubble? And if they say no, try to move to a different seat, talk to a flight attendant, but don't lose your cool. And again, like I said, don't be a hero.
Right. Now, can we avoid physical contact? I know it's pretty easy to bump into someone, again, when you're in those tight quarters, but is it possible? Can you avoid physical contact with other passengers?
Unfortunately, with the way that seats are designed today in economy class, it's really difficult. You have, this war over who gets the armrest, or can I lean my seat back, and where does your personal space end and my right to lean begin? These are really controversial topics. We could talk about them until the cows come home. But again, politeness is what's going to get you what you want. If you can just talk to the person who's leaning into your personal space, ask them to not do that. If someone is spreading into your seat, the best solution is to find a different seat on the plane if there's one available. But short of that, ask the person to kind of move in, but be really nice about it. I think we're kind of in this together here, and everyone wants to get through it. And if you just keep that in mind, I think you're going to have a great flight.
You mentioned keeping calm. Yeah, we've got to pack a little bit of extra patience. Tips. We want some tips for approaching and addressing strangers who remove their masks, and I've seen videos of this just in the past week, or they fail to comply with rules. How do we talk to those people? Or do we not talk to them?
We don't talk to them, no. You really have to, you've got to remember, first of all, that a lot of the airlines have changed their rules even in the last week. Delta is a really good example of this, where they now say you have to have a medical reason for not wearing a face mask. Leave that up to the flight attendants to enforce the rules. You don't want to be the person who says, hey, you want to put your mask on, and then you whip out your camera and start taping, and then you try to put up a viral video. That's not what you want to be. You don't want to be that person. Let the flight attendants do their job. If someone's not wearing a flight attendant, you can ask them nicely, but if they don't, talk to a flight attendant and get them to basically enforce the rules.
Enforce the rules. Now, you were telling me you have a nomadic lifestyle. You have been flying during this pandemic time. What should someone do if a problem arises? Have you personally observed anything in your travels lately?
Yeah, I actually evacuated from France. We were stuck in Nice for 2 months during the pandemic with my kids. And when we came back, what I saw was a lot of empty seats. So there was no issue with having to worry about someone spreading into my personal space, but also a lot of fear and uncertainty. And I think that's probably the worst thing about traveling by air now is you just don't know what to expect. The best way of uh, understanding what's going to happen is to read up on the rules. Go to your airline's website, find out what the rules are right now. Remember, they change by the week. So make sure that you have the very latest. And if you have a question, ask the flight attendants. That's what they're there for, is they're there to help you.
All right, Christopher Elliott, I want to thank you for joining us, sharing your insight on your travels and what you've seen. Pack the patience and don't take matters into your own hands. For more information, you can visit, for flight tips, you can visit elliott.org.